So, I've put together a little Dawless setup, a little minimalist Dawless setup, just for fun. I thought it would be fun to go back to the way I was doing things maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I always use this guy. This is what I think is the most feature-packed mono synth, the greatest sequencer I've ever used. It's so playable. I wanted to put together a little setup, the minimum amount of machines for the maximum amount of fun. And this is what I came up with. So, model cycles, little groove box, drums, and little synthy things. And Novation Circuit Mono Station. Mono analog synth. I love this thing. I've put it on almost every recording I've ever made has this on it. Super playable, super hands-on, somewhat hands-on. I'm still kind of learning this machine. This is still new to me. Mixer, which is probably overkill for 2 machines and 1 pedal, but I own this, and it's the only compact mixer I own, so that's why it's here. It's also great, and it's a tank. I could throw this off my roof, and it would still work. Keeley Caverns delay reverb. It's fine. It's a very nice utility pedal when you just need delay or reverb. It's in the aux end for this mixer, so it's mostly for this guy. Just for doing those types of things. Oh, and the power situation is kind of insane. Each of these things has its own plug, so I'm using a little surge protector. That's annoying in itself, and we'll get into that with the Eurorack discussion. Oh, and headphones. The reason I decided to talk about this is I've been pretty much primarily using Eurorack for any kind of synth or percussion things. I have my rack set up like a groove box, so I just haven't been doing this Dawless stuff. I feel like usually we're seeing these YouTube videos, we're seeing Instagram videos, we're not seeing all this junk. It's usually off screen, and I thought it would be interesting to just kind of go through what goes into a little Dawless setup and then show you the Eurorack and how much, maybe better, maybe worse, depending on how you feel about this kind of thing. So this is super basic. I just have stereo coming out of Model Cycles into this channel, mono coming out of Novation into this channel, send and return for the pedal. I've got this MIDI sync cable going here. I've got my outs going to my patch bay, going into a DAW. So this isn't really Dawless, I'm sorry to say, folks. That's another thing. We're calling everything Dawless now for kind of a lack of a better term. If you've spent any time in like Reddit or Facebook groups or something, everyone's using a DAW. They're just sending machines into a DAW and mixing it and doing hashtag Dawless, which I find a little silly, gotta be honest. When Dawless first started, I saw a lot of like cassette machines, a lot of 4-track cassettes being used. It was kind of beautiful, the idea of not staring at a screen. But we seem to have lost that. We seem to be sending things into our DAW, much like I am right now. If I were to record this and say it was Dawless, I don't want to be so dramatic about it. I don't want to say like I would have honesty of telling you that it's totally Dawless. But I would probably come out of this into my 4-track cassette or just straight into my phone or something. Anyway, that was a little rant about Dawless. Let's find another name for hardware stuff. So this is a little hardware jam setup. I might do some things with this. It's definitely fun. I had a lot of fun playing with this morning. It's just all this makes me crazy, seeing all this, which is weird because I'm a Eurorack person and your whole world is just a pile of cables everywhere you look. Anyway, that is the minimal Dawless hardware. Let's have a look at the Eurorack. And here we have the Eurorack. This does look like a big old cable mess, which kind of defeats the purpose of the point I'm trying to make. But everything is enclosed in here now. We don't have a bunch of moving components that I have to worry about powering. One single power cable, a mixer, effects, drum voices, synth voices, all in one thing. I'm not trying to say this is like better or worse than having several pieces of hardware, but for my brain right now, this works so much better than having all these like moving parts. It feels like I'm spinning plates or something. I threw together some patch pretty quickly. Not the coolest thing in the world, but you get the idea. Got some drum voices. Some effects. So yes, there is this controller here. It's not always necessary, but if I'm doing drum stuff, I sort of have to have this. Another thing that needs to be plugged in. A little annoying, I gotta say. This just, to me, is so much easier. Everything's synced up through this. It's kind of like all in sync together already. I don't have to dive into some MIDI menu. I don't have to look up a bunch of manuals for discontinued synthesizers like the Novation. This does look like a big tangled mess, but to my brain, it all makes sense. I don't know why. I can't explain it to you, but it makes sense to me. Anyhow, that is hardware Dawless jamming versus Eurorack jams. Thanks for watching.